Thanks for staying with us. So our hot topic today, last week, Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, hinted that a litre of petroleum may sell between 320 Naira and 340 Naira in 2022. Now, the question is, should the federal government remove subsidy completely or continue to pay subsidy running into trillions of Naira? This is one of the hardest conversations to have because we've said it over and over again, we've had it over and over again, and there seems not to be any kind of solution in sight. But we're getting to that point where the hard questions have to be asked, and I would like to hear what Nigerians think on this subject. So please call us today. We'd like to take a lot of phone calls and really love your messages because we need to hear Nigerians' views on this. So you call us on 091-390-76948, 081-270-53687. You can also send us messages on YouTube and Facebook. We'd like to hear your thoughts. To remove subsidy or not to remove subsidy? That's the question we're discussing this morning. What are your thoughts? Nima, would you like to start?
Okay, we must remove subsidy.
Okay.
Yeah, fine. But then we cannot claim to remove subsidy just as an administrative gain.
Okay.
It has to be an economic ease and empowerment for our people. So because we have continued to fail, we cannot find the easy way out for government first without finding the easy way out for people. Since we insist on what God has blessed us with, to sell it and buy it outside, we carry our crude, we refine it, no matter the gain on it. If crude leaves this place and is high in the market, we are selling for 150, whatever we gain, we'll go and spend it, lose it by buying petrol back to our people. And that has been the dynamics for all the generations of leaders who allowed it. At least 15 administrations or so would have seen it, or 9 of them would have seen it. Let's just start with the Obasanjo's era. And we refuse. We found it difficult to do anything about it till today. We are still waiting for one individual to start a refinery so that we can then say there's a private investment refinery here. 4 refineries, Warri, Port Harcourt, the Kaduna and the other one, are there. Moribund, they're not doing anything, they're not productive. Trillions of Naira has gone down, nothing. And now is when we want to remove subsidies. So what is going to be the fate of a poor man? Already, with the present state of inflation that we have, it is hard already. We've continued to be prisoners to this dollar exchange, which is what we exchange everything that we sell, purchase, and especially what we buy in, including the petrol that we are bringing in.
Right.
The rate of dollar too is subsidized. So if we want to remove subsidy, let's talk what we want to remove it from.
So let me come to. I'll pause you for a second because from what Nima has said, it's almost like she's speaking from 2 sides of her mouth.
Yeah.
1 second, let us
balance it.
Remove it, but let's know.
1 second, let's remove. But the next second, let us ensure that we get the refineries. But how do we find a middle ground? It's almost impossible to
do both at the same time.
You can't hang in there. I'll come to you now. We can't have that. We can't raise that magic wand and say, okay, tomorrow there's refinery today. Refine the crude internally and then remove subsidy. That's not possible. So where do we find the middle ground? Let me come to you.
So I need us to I need us to start with the truth. The subsidy hasn't profited the average Nigerian. Any Nigerian watching that feels, oh, the fuel is cheap, what you think you have saved, times 10 of that has empowered a few cabal in this country. Because what is happening, the truth of the reason we are removing subsidy is not because subsidy is not working for us. Subsidy, there's an effect of subsidy for us, but the true value of what we are saving is going to a few hands. And the government knows there's corruption within that few, and the government cannot deal with it. So, because the government cannot deal with a few corrupt people who have profited and are profiteering from the subsidy system, they've chosen to take the easy way out by taking the subsidy out entirely. All right, let everybody understand that's the thing. So the government must admit that we failed to find the roots of the corruption. Now, if they have decided to transfer this bill to the average Nigerian, it will not be convenient. And I'm appealing to everybody, let's not join NLC. Let me appeal to NLC. NLC is not convenient, but if you look at the numbers, the government cannot sustain payment of subsidies. So NLC should agree and let us quickly work towards finding removing subsidy and finding what else we would put the money into. That's the conversation I feel the NLC should have. Not a conversation of don't remove subsidy. The conversation NLC should have is where we want to put the saved funds into and how we would ensure that this money does not go the way of Shopee, where we'll just hear something now and a few years after nothing is happening.
So there are two things. The money saved, they're saying NPC that they want to give 5,000 naira of that money saved to 40 or 40. Now it's even 43. As of last week it was 40 million. As of today, it's now 43 million Nigerians poor. That's what they said. Now that money they're saving, that's one. Now those thieves that haven't been prosecuted, how difficult is it to find these thieves? I mean, it shouldn't be that difficult. So just like, I like the way you put it, that instead of finding them, prosecuting them and stopping them from stealing, you rather the easy way out of making me pay more
for it.
But I think that's something that we need to highlight. But this part of the 5,000 naira, now, let me come to you on that. What are your thoughts on? Would it achieve that palliative that Nigerians are seeking? That if you cannot pay 350 naira for the fuel, this 5,000 naira I'm giving you, I'm subsidizing it, so you can even use that one to buy your fuel.
The average worker spends at least nothing less than 30,000 naira for transportation. At least, nothing less, the average worker. Let's not even talk about minimum wage and how much they pay. So that 5,000 naira is nothing. It will not do anything. It will not lift any Nigerian out of poverty. It will not even cushion any effect. That's one. Secondly, we don't have a problem with removing subsidy, but I do not understand the way the government seems to carry out its plans without proper planning, proper providing of options. So you need to tell us the truth. Subsidy hasn't served us. We want to take it out, but we have a plan of 10 years. Give us 10 years and bear this hardship. Make your projections. Show us that in 10 years, at the end of 10 years, we would have set up so and so refineries.
We don't trust them.
Hold on.
We don't trust them. Hold on. We don't trust them.
Have they come out with those breakdowns for us?
If they do, would you trust that they will 10 years?
We know that the subsidy is not serving us. Even if we want to save anything from buying fuel 165 and not buying it 305, the recycling effects on other things, it's not paying us.
My question
as the people.
You not answer the question. If Buhari comes out right now and says, please, Nigerians, give me the next 5 years. I'm going to build the refineries.
Yes.
Please, take this hardship. Would you believe him?
Yes, I believe him. I will believe him if he has a plan. We have experts, hold on. We have experts and consultants who sit here and tell us some projections, which we do not do. So if the government comes out and gives us those projections and tells us that this money we're going to save from the subsidy, we're either going to use it to start building refineries, tell us the land they want to acquire for it, tell us the plans they're making to start the building, we will believe them. We cannot work with a government we do not trust. So as a people, we too need to trust them.
Okay, I'll come to you. So Shopee was part of what's saved.
They've told us before, under Jonathan, that there is a plan. They dedicated money for turnaround maintenance. Then they said, this plan, we are going to do Shopee to empower people. So the tragedy of our country is we don't have continuity and there's no accountability. So when you say you will do this, another government comes in, it does not continue. Then there's no accountability from even within your government, there's no accountability that we said we're going to renovate the refineries that give us 2 years to renovate. We will spend $1 trillion. Now you spend $1 trillion. What happened? There's nothing. It just goes into voicemail. So it is not a case of we don't want to believe. It's a case of data. Show me what you have done. Show me what you will do.
Let me go on a break. I'll come to you, Nima. Let me go on a break. We'll continue this conversation after the break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still discussing subsidy, and I would like to open our phone lines to our viewers to hear your thoughts on this. Please call us on the numbers on your screen. Nima, you're going to say something for the break.
I insist that the corruption is not on the side of Nigerians, it's on the side of government. 77 oil firms owe federal government $6.48 billion. I'll break that down. Is $143 million owed as petroleum profit tax, $1 billion as company income taxes, 201 million as education tax, 18.46 million and as VAT, and several other taxes like that broken down, including unremitted gas flare penalties. So we even have that. We fled the gas, we let this add cheap, and then we buy refined gas to augment what we say we don't have. So failure to provide critical infrastructure over the years. So now when we say we want to remove subsidy, remove it. What exactly do you want to do? What's the plan within a number of years? And I don't trust government.
Exactly. So you see,
carry out the plan.
I don't want to go too far.
I
want to build. I want you to help me in that place where you've landed now. We don't trust government. They have failed
before.
Because we can all list out all the errors. But where we are today, how do we move forward? I'd like you to go ahead.
Good. So as we are now,
yes,
every government come with one plan. And this one, I thought they would do it, but since they have failed us, we are moving. Let's be looking at 2023 already. Let's have a plan. Let these ones not bother removing subsidies. They don't have the power to. Let's have an election. Let somebody that will give us a plan on when I remove subsidy. This is what I will be saving. That for 5,000 now, if we calculate, they say it's over trillions. So
2.3
yes,
trillion.
That will be removing. So this amount of money that I will be saving, I might need to borrow this amount of money to make it up and have 6 refineries in 6 geopolitical zones areas of the country, especially areas where crude is easily accessed. When it's refined, sold to the people at so amount of the profit, that eases a lot of things within, because we are not dealing with this petrodollar thing. But if you cannot give us that...
So the only difference between that conversation and this conversation is that trust. Because at that moment, you still pay your 300.
Because if these people
at that moment, you still pay maybe 500. Let me finish the name. At that moment, in 2023, that person will still pay, for example, 500 naira per litre. But we will still go ahead and pay that 500 naira per litre because we are trusting him. So the only difference is trust.
No. In the immediate, when he removes subsidy, prior to when this plan, that we see that they must execute. And there are a lot of grounds for gross misconduct, but we don't have a say. We don't have national assembly. Wait,
I'm not trying to understand.
If we remove subsidy, within a 2-year period, nobody will be buying fuel for 500. You can't buy what you have.
You've not answered my question.
You are paying cost of importation.
Today is January. Today is January 2023.
Yes.
No, May 2023. I have won election. I'm President Murayo, right? 2023, I have won presidency. My first speech is that I am removing subsidy today. January, May 2023. I'm removing subsidy today, and trust me that in the next 2 years, I'll be between this year and the second year, you pay 500 naira per litre. And is Nima now willing to pay that 500 naira per litre?
Why not? When I can see a future.
Because you are trusting. So again, the difference between that conversation and this conversation is trust.
It's trust. So that landed me to my point of a plan. That you're supposed to project a plan, but now Nima is telling us that you do not trust this particular government.
This was not trust. The trust is not just based on emotion; it's based on antecedents. People don't have to plan.
So you can't trust that the next president will have this. No, hold on. What makes you think that the next one will be trustworthy?
Wait, I'll let you explain. Let me take this call.
Okay.
Raji is on hold. Good morning, Raji. Are you there? Hello, Raji. Are you there? Oh, okay.
Raji knows it.
Let me come.
Go ahead. Let Nima finish that.
So this government, when they came in, insisted that subsidy was removed some time back. They insisted, and we supported it. We said it's laudable. They removed subsidy. They then came back. They said they were doing an exchange something. They now called it maintenance something. Then later they called it a particular name. Eventually, we were paying subsidy. So this, by antecedent, is not the government you want to sit and trust.
That's the issue. So thank you. So I understood. I wanted to understand Nima. You've been understood.
So what they called it was, and I've said it again now, you cannot deregulate. What they did not deregulate. They said they removed subsidy. It was a partial removal. And that's still what we're doing now, where we cannot stipulate how much it will sell for. Because once you say how much the petrol will sell for, it means that you are regulating that industry. You must leave it free. So today it can sell for 500, tomorrow it sells for 300, based on all the market forces. You must free it up. Right now, that's not what they are saying. That's not what the minister is saying. That's not what the Minister for Finance is saying. So it means that we might end up finding ourselves in the same quagmire where it looks like we are not paying subsidy, but NNPC is paying from within their stock. So we must really fully deregulate that, number one. Number two, the challenge of expecting political offices to create transformation is not sustainable. We have a ministry. The ministry, the permanent secretaries, they are there year in, year out, regardless of any political office holder. And we must begin to hold those people accountable. Because what happens is, when you do your forensic audits, you call the minister. The minister will say, I was not the one in charge when this thing happened. The new one will say,
political statement.
It was not me.
So the accountability needs to come from permanent secretaries, directors in the ministries, and they should be the one held accountable to drive whatever
Absolutely.
change.
Let me take
because
this
power
call.
will always change hands every 4 years.
Good morning. Are you there? Thanks for calling. I have a call. Mr. Sampson. Hello, Mr. Sampson. Are you there? Our phone lines.
I think something's wrong with the phone line. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Are you there? Hello, Mr. Sampson. Please listen to me, not the TV. Are you there?
We can
Go
get
ahead.
so yes, I wanted Nigerians to also understand the long-term benefits of removing.
Good morning, Mr. Sampson.
Yeah, good morning.
Go
How are
ahead,
you?
please.
Okay, please, sir. My contribution is this. I want the government, probably to do their research and check how much it can cost to fix our refinery.
The one you want, the one you want.
They cannot be.
You can't fix that
Yeah,
one.
they should compare it together with the amount they said they are going to spend. And giving 5,000 naira to give the youth, to give the poor, to alleviate this subsidy they want to remove. Because from the look of things, you see that a lot of people, a lot of them don't know what it means when you say you're removing the subsidy and you don't have a proper plan for the Nigerian.
All right. Thank you, Sampson. I'm hearing plan. Go ahead, BC.
The plan, we're back to the
We
plan.
need to do
But
subsidy.
I wanted us Nigerians to understand the long-term benefits of removing subsidy. Over the years, we've seen that a lot of private investors who really are interested in this are not able to get into the market. They are not able to play in that market because of this subsidy there, that subsidy there, policies changing back and forth. Nobody wants to put money where they do not have control that they will get their money back. So if we take out the subsidy, Nigerians will suffer it in terms of buying fuel, and it will still go trickle down into other plants. Transportation would increase, food items would increase, and all that. If we can suffer it a bit and allow these private investors come in, it will not become like telecoms, where your telecom companies, where there's now competition and market forces determine, and over time they are able to control their markets, make their money, and it reduces. So it keeps going up and down till we get to that point. But it's going to take a process, and it's going to take years. It's not something that, like you said, just wave a magic wand and it's done. Are we willing to go through this process?
Yeah, so that process is Nigerians don't want to go through that because, in fact, NLC, I'm waiting for NLC to come and carry that placard very soon. So my issue now is, for me, don't you think that if we the same way we're licensing Nigerians to become farmers, to become what's the other one? Why can't we begin to license more people to have modular refineries across the country? So let us totally empower as many Nigerians as possible to have this, so that we can have producing crude.
Explained.
Yeah.
Is what answer that question is the challenge people are having with the power sector, because when you regulate an industry, investment will reduce in that industry because people don't trust how policy changes might affect their bottom line. So we haven't been able to have as much investment come into. There are many approvals for refineries, but how many of those approved? No, they've gotten the approvals, are actually bringing in the funds. The money isn't coming in, because when I bring in the money, I don't want you to tell me that I can only sell my fuel for 300 naira. When it's costing me 500 naira to produce the fuel, even within Nigeria, Nima, the truth is the fact that you produce here does not mean that it's going to be very, very cheap
at all.
It just means that you're not paying the freight cost of importing it in.
Fantastic point.
So, and that alone is huge. But because each crude that you're buying is valued in dollars, the crude comes to you, even in Nigeria, in dollars, because that's the value.
The machinery you're going to even use to provide it.
It's a case of you don't pay the freight of bringing it in. That's number one. Number two is, until it is totally free, people will not put their money there. I need to be doing that. I want to do my business. You don't regulate how much tomato goes for. If I plant tomato and it's costing me 500 naira to bring it to Lagos,
I sell for 600.
Do you understand? Nobody's putting it in place.
Regulation is disaster happening to anybody. No. Let me explain.
Not price regulation.
The bottom line of this conversation that we are having is the hardship that the poor common man is suffering.
Oh, yes.
If you give any businessman a free market, all he will focus on is profit.
Nobody mind. We are still the cheapest. We are the cheapest. We buy petrol cheapest in entire West Africa.
Yes.
That's the truth. See, it's expensive even if you cross border. It's expensive.
This dollar for which petroleum is brought in, we still try to assist the dollar to save Naira. I don't understand. We subsidize that. Is it that everything we do we don't see the end that is not in favor of us, or we don't love ourselves enough? Everything we do favors investors outside foreign countries and foreign currencies. Nothing works for us here. If we build a refinery for Nigerians here, we remove the cost of building refinery. We can't be building per refining.
Nima, you're using a foreign phone. Are you not using a foreign phone?
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm not using
it was made in Nigeria. So those are going to Nigeria. So, listen, we can't run away from that. Let me go and equip. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. It's not a different matter. Stay with us. It's all connected.
When we make
we'll be right back.
Watch me, I'll be the first.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still on this subsidy matter. I mean, I personally don't like having this conversation because I'm tired. I'm like exhausted. But going by what Nima said, I want to be sure I understand because someone tried to explain to me. So, for example, in America, if you buy a bag of cashew nuts, you can pay like $5–6 because cashew is not something that is easily. I mean, I think I'm not sure if it's produced in America, but it's something that they import. So you pay about $6–7 for a bag of cashew nuts. But in Nigeria, you can buy a bottle for 2,000 Naira bottle because it's cheap. We have it here. So what you're saying is that we don't need to value this oil, this cashew nut, internationally valued because it's our own. So if I can buy cashew nuts for 2,000 Naira here, and America, that same bottle is going to sell at 6,000 Naira. I'm saying that because I own crude here, don't value it at $50 per barrel. Value it at 20 Naira or 10 because it is ours. That's what you're saying, right? But you're saying it should be valued internationally because, but we're saying don't even export it. Don't sell our cashew outside. You can sell our crude here within us. We can afford it amongst us. That's what you're saying.
Prices. We can refine it here, and we now sell finished products. We'll take benefit of all the other benefits that come out from this.
But businessmen will now buy the cashew nut or buy the clothes at $20 and then export it at
for petroleum.
So let me explain it this way: our major foreign exchange earner, what gives Nigeria value in the international market is crude oil, and it is because this dollar-rated in produce gives us, we have it in abundance. So as long as we have crude oil and it brings us dollars, we can be reckoned with on the international stage. That is, and it is the world's space. Unless we start producing everything by ourselves, as long as we still need to import phones, we still import cars, everything that we consume largely is still bringing dollars. We still need to discuss this dollar thing. We can't break that cabal yet. Okay. We still have to deal with the world economy.
Frank, are you there? Thanks for calling. So Nima is underestimating how much the power of the dollar in the Nigerian market. Okay, go ahead. Frank, are you there?
Yeah.
Go ahead, you're live.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
This is my first caller.
Welcome to the show.
You see, I don't know the reason why in our country, Nigeria, we have refinery and God, and our God bless us with a good oil. Every time our oil, every time people cannot, we are increasing the oil. Common man cannot even buy a gas. Look at our gas. During the Goodluck Jonathan, our former president, Goodluck Jonathan, everything was well settled. But now, common man cannot buy a gas. And every time they are increasing it. Is it only, you see, let us be realistic. You see, in this country, Nigeria, God has already blessed us. You understand? So let them put just our refinery in order. Let them put it in order. I don't know why Nigeria will have a refinery. We cannot refine anything. We are refining the oil in outside country. That's why everything is cost. I cannot blame your colleague Akia. I forgot his name. I cannot blame her.
Thank you, Franklin. So, you see, Frank's position is the average Nigerian. We can all sit down here and complain. Why refineries are it's the same lamentation we've been lamenting for years. What we're looking for right now is solution to move forward. Go ahead, BC.
I understand what Nima is saying, and I hope that our government will think towards that direction. However, when it comes to playing with world powers, we do not have the economic strength to make some decisions. So, no, see now, it's a process. And also because we do not have the political will to stand by ourselves and say, these international people, we don't need you. Because we know we need them. We still go cap in hand to get loans for everything, almost everything that we do. So we can't just stand and say, let's use Naira, because then we are telling them face to face that we are not with you anymore. They still run the market. And I think that's where the dilemma is. But this is simple economics for me, which I understand that if there are a lot of suppliers in the market, which is what government not putting the market prices would do for this industry, we have more suppliers, then the consumers will choose which suppliers to buy from depending on the prices. Now the consumers will now have the opportunity to determine the prices using market forces. But if we still have just a few people, everybody's waiting for Dangote now, Dangote, and we think that when he finishes everything and he starts selling to us, that he will sell at a loss, it's not going to happen. He still will have monopoly in the market, which he already has in some other, parts of the business. So when we work towards ensuring that a lot more Nigerians invest in this industry, it's for the long term, so that it becomes a sort of market where you determine who you want to buy from.
Let's take a deep dive into what Nima had said earlier. So let's imagine, right? Let's even assume, for example, that this we use this plan of let us value the crude based on our own Naira, right? Yeah. And then we lose all the dollars coming in. So we don't have enough dollars to buy champagne, buy the dollars to buy the cars. We don't have all this. And we now, the reality of how much dollar we truly have based on this new formation, maybe it will help us, force us to begin to look within.
Inwards, yeah.
Maybe the false assumption that we have dollars coming in because of this crude is the problem we have. So if we go this route, we know, okay, actually we only have $1 million from every other source coming to Nigeria. This $1 million, what can we use it for? Let's begin to now use our cereal. Let's start producing inward. Let's start using our raw materials, our cocoa, others to begin to produce within. Maybe that will help us. We need to force Nigerians to look within.
Because we belong to international organizations like OPEC. Yeah. We can continue to do business internationally. We have enough crude that we can export, and we can insist that the one consumed here, we can be refined here and controlled by government for our people. That's what I'm saying, no. So you can earn the dollar you are looking for by exporting some of your own finished products or willingly selling your products, your crudes to some countries. And that takes care of your dollar and wala exchange. Why you take care of your people? What you're doing now is insisting on feeding outside without worrying about how you can eat what is happening inside.
A businessman like Mr. John will therefore buy within Nigeria and export, and then he's making money.
In the olden days when we had the 4 refineries, products were taken to those refineries, prices were controlled. Nobody was using the price of dollar outside to insist that that's how they buy. They used to produce oil. And who says we cannot reach a deal with Dangote and say, okay, now crude is taken here. We will not use dollar as the standard here. We will be giving to you at this price. This is how much, and provide a policy that is this life for our people. Why are we insisting? It's only the way Oyibo people see it that we must see it.
Okay, come to you. Let's talk about
one of the ways to
Let me take Fawaz and I'll come to you. Fawaz, are you there from Sokoto?
I'm there.
You're live. Go ahead, please. Go ahead. Go ahead, very clearly. Go ahead, please.
All right, thank you. You see, this issue, we have to look at it from 2 perspectives. From an economic point of view, it's very, very glaring that we have no choice rather than to abort this issue of fuel subsidy. But the other aspect is human aspect. You know, there is going to be a lot of, we are already in a very, very serious problems in terms of buying power of Nigerians, common Nigerians. You made one example earlier on that we are still buying less compared to other West African countries. But we can't just make that comparison. Look at what the president also said some time ago, that it doesn't make sense for fuel price to be cheaper in Nigeria compared to Saudi Arabia. It doesn't make sense because you cannot compare the buying power of those people over there with Nigerians. So let's use our own situation. So government has to be very, very careful. The reality is that we just have to remove fuel subsidy, but there has to be a kind of cushioning
effect in order to...
So, thank you for ours. Take us to this cushioning effect.
Please, because you see, this money thing is my industry. The challenges of our economy is huge. And many times when we cannot talk about this thing and just talk about it in isolation. We have to deal with it like we understand the numbers and how we place with international markets. This crude oil we're talking about is being phased out around the world. Yes. We'll soon be drinking it. Yes. No, but there's a timeline for when they will no longer buy crude oil. So as long as we are not, we're thinking...
That's where we're going to go back to Tokonima's plan.
We're thinking... So I'm saying that our government must have, because we've signed all of these things. We want to go and borrow money. Our president just went to COP26. We want to borrow money and we're promising that we will stop emission, which means we also need to start phasing out crude cars as well. If we want to be independent, and there's a video of an Indian man saying that the West have no right to point fingers at crude emission from coal because they brought coal to India. If we want to be independent, do we have leaders that have the liver to confront the West world? The truth is, we're not ready. So if we're going to still be in this marriage with the Western world, we need to become, the only way to escape this quagmire we found ourselves financially as a nation is to become innovative. We need to start innovating across board, not just crude oil. Our only major export is still crude. We need to innovate in refining other produce that will be relevant to the international markets to bring us money. In terms of local consumption, Nigeria is heavily subsidized. Power is subsidized in Nigeria. Education is subsidized in Nigeria. Education, no, you cannot become a doctor anywhere else as cheap as you become a doctor in Nigeria. So let's even talk about the fact that we have an economy where everybody, we are not paying the actual value.
Give me.
So if we want to deal with this situation, pay for the quality, get the quality. But we're not doing that because we're used to not paying the actual price and they were used to not getting the quality. So if we want to resolve this issue, number one, remove subsidy. Number two, hold the directors in every ministry accountable, not political office holders. They come and go.
Let's go on a break.
Number three is the fact that we need to trust this government. We don't have a choice. They are our leaders. If you say you don't trust your leader, you are locked with them in a marriage till 2023. So are you saying you will continue not to trust them on 2023? That means you will move forward on 2023.
Okay, we have to go on a break. I really wish you can wrap up on this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.